Is Bad Game over yet?
No?
Well, that's a shame. I guess we'll have to find something else to talk about.
Well, let's talk about these sweet side quests we've still gotta do. We still have 2 weeks to fill out Mode Wondershot.
Any luck with the posters?
Well, funny you mention that. We're kind of getting there. We're going to take a look at something Michael posted about the street signs moving near Birch Street in Frankton.
Huh.
I don't know if I somehow missed the event flag for this, but I mean, I'm looking around. Can't find any street signs. Maybe that's what Michael was yelling about.
Well, I'd say that's certainly somewhat disconcerting, but,
Oh, I know. Maybe I should have been paying attention to the stop signs. I'm such an unobservant player, Mode Wondershot.
Well, I will say this. At the very least, that does, again, seem to tie into the strange friction of the normal and the otherworldly that Earthbound seemed to be aiming for.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, when this game tries to do that, I imagine it could probably, if they put a little bit more thought into it, make that work. But that's just, like, such a minute thing where it's, like, it's almost too subtle, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And honestly, I'd rather focus on the strange perversity of there suddenly being 2 B-balls on that B-ball court you just passed.
Oh, man. Our realities are starting to merge or whatever.
Does a B-ball leave behind a soul survivor?
If a B-ball falls through the hoop and no one is around to shoot it, does it make 2 points? I remembered that there was a thing where Michael said when I get home late at night, it seems like the street signs change places. So I thought maybe if I, like, left town and then came back, maybe something would happen, but still no dice.
I suppose then, are you even near an applicable street sign? Because, yeah, there's certainly that one, but doesn't Michael live somewhere else that would be within easier access?
Nope, that's actually Michael's house right there, the one right next to where I was. I mean, I thought that street sign might be one I could talk to initiate a street sign-based combat, but no such luck, I guess. Anyway, at this point, I just kind of give up with it. Let's go do something more fun, question mark?
That's fair. I mean, as we've established, accepting mediocre results is perhaps the most consistent theme of this game.
Yes, it is. But we're trying. We're so close to the end, Mode Wondershot. Still
Yeah.
can't talk to these street signs. Or this one.
On the plus side, once we do reach the end, I'm starting to contemplate the idea of actually going into full-on video essay mode and seeing if I can actually try and unpack something from this entire experience.
I think the last thing that I need you to do for me is just don't do any more video essays for your own good. I care about you as a friend. I think over the course of the past 20 or so hours that we've been spending doing this, dear God, we have unpacked just about everything you can unpack from this game. Aerith's death was still underwhelming.
Well, I mean, they can't all be Sammy Park, that's her name?
Yes. Yes.
It's been long enough that I had to consider it for a second.
Yeah, they keep bringing it up, but really, Sammy kind of disappears from the plot after the start of the whole record-finding arc. You know, and that's I guess, their way of segueing into the whole thing with the Essentia and Vela being the Essentia and all that.
And then, yeah, the thread is basically not so much lost, but forgotten.
Talking of things I forgot to do, this is the Monster Den. Well, one of the many ones that we've been kind of forgetting about. You may remember these from very early in the campaign, where they sort of suggest that you go do them if you want to level up. I mean, by this point, I don't think I need to be leveling up anymore. I have it on good authority that I am perhaps over-leveled for this part of the game.
I mean, at the very least, they seem to have mixed this one up somewhat by actually incorporating features from dungeons into them as opposed to just being a free roaming area.
Yeah, it's very slightly interactive. To a very slightly greater degree than the normal monster dens and dungeons are. They made me put my big brain to work. So yeah, I cleared that one out and there was nothing interesting in it. We also found a bit where they were talking about a ghost in Windtown near the graveyard. Say hello to this ghost.
He looks kind of like graffiti art, honestly.
I know, I was really confused for a minute. At first I thought that somebody had just like tagged up the fence or something. Of course, this spooky ghost can't leave his spooky post.
I mean, that was almost a good joke, but it was certainly ruined by the fact that we had to go through, I want to say, a dozen text boxes of no real consequence before that.
Oh, I know, and by that point, I was totally burned out of this. I promptly decided to go do more monster dens, because I was not doing that quest.
Which is fair.
This is a high-level monster dungeon. There's nothing in it except this monster whistle.
It will cause hidden monster to reveal themselves?
Well, yes, but the weird thing is, it's not actually an item. It's a tool. You know, like the ones we needed to get through dungeons until this point?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know why it's hiding out here. You could totally miss this area.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was there not usually some sort of alternate indicator whenever you get an item that's usable as a tool?
Well, there is a little key icon, but sometimes that just means a key item. It doesn't necessarily mean a tool per se. Also, there's no way that you can page through your inventory when it's like 100-something items long like mine is at this point. I guess I'm supposed to have been using more healing items or whatever, I don't know. Anyway, if we use the monster whistle, it plays this ocarina-type tune, and if you're over one of these little skull icons, you know, it doesn't take you to the death route, it just spawns more monsters for you to fight, which is something at this point.
Reward disguised as... No, the inverse. Punishment disguised as reward?
I guess, you know, for finding these sort of secluded icons and stuff where you, like, have to go back later in the game to deal with them, I was kind of expecting, you know, something more substantial than, like, 10 XP.
Well, considering the amount of XP you need to level up is fixed, I guess there's still technically a mercy in that you're only needing to fight 10 battles.
I'd like to see how high I can get my stats, but it's mostly to see how ridiculous the numbers can get on LP Toss. Because if you notice, it seems like every level we get, it goes up by like 1,000 now, which is sort of vaguely entertaining.
There's certainly some visceral satisfaction, the likes of which apparently makes me continue playing things like JRPGs and clickers of just making numbers get big.
Yeah, but you like games like that. That kind of scratches your itch.
As I said, it's very much a visceral sort of satisfaction.
Yeah, there's a certain satisfaction to getting your level up to 99.99 in Disgaea or whatever, if you really just have nothing better to do. I apologize for not cutting this out. I thought I did.
No, it's fine. I was actually legitimately impressed for a moment at the fact that you were able to build up 9 combo on Essentia's basic attack.
I know, I wasn't expecting that.
It's a rare treat. Once again, your abilities with games, as with Need for Speed the Run, shines through our combined lack of regard for the actual content.
I will appreciate that compliment. Yeah, let's go polish off this one as well. I mean, at this point, you know, we've been seeing a few of these skull icons, right? And I'm like, there's got to be something good there, because they wouldn't have put something there if there wasn't something to do, right?
Right.
And, you know, you might think this might be where you summon the late game super boss or whatever, in which you finally get to beat up on the Allenson brothers, who, for whatever reason, have probably inserted themselves into this game somewhere.
Well, I suppose we can't have it all.
Yeah, let's go do this one as well. I found this area before. Couldn't figure out what to do because, of course, I didn't have the monster whistle at this point. This one spawns right on top of me. It actually kind of scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, I think the idea is you're not necessarily intended to play it directly on the skull icon, but the skull icon indicates what the spawn point is.
Yes, it indicates that there's spookiness afoot and you can play the whistle.
Also, I note that, at the very least, one of the mysteries surrounding LP Toss was actually solved for me in an earlier encounter. I'm pretty sure you had one instance of LP Toss where you straight up hit only one of two available targets, but the damage was still spread between both of them.
I'll take your word for it. At this point, I keep, like, thinking I figured it out, and then I don't. But I have figured out that so long as you at least hit one target, you will do damage. So, I'm still kind of trying to figure out what to do, and...
Oh.
I wanted to see if I could get over to Flagtown by riding the railroad tracks or something.
Yeah. Yeah, this is... not the level design we need. Also, okay, so I know Liberty Island is a subject of some dispute between Jersey and the state of New York,
but it's also on the other side of New Jersey.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you go too far out and try to get to New York, you will just fall off the edge of the map, so, you know, maybe don't do that. But I did discover that if you...
Oh my god.
If you just sort of ride this coastline, then you can actually go all the way around the continent.
Oh.
And yeah, I don't know quite what I was looking for at this point, but I'd figured out pretty readily that I was off the rails, so I kind of wanted to ride this train and see where it went.
We should have stopped a long time ago, but let's keep going and see what happens.
I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Well, I suppose now's as good a time and opportunity as any to resume a discussion we were having somewhat off camera about the artistry of bad games, or bad movies.
Art.
Well, I suppose it still technically counts, but, why does the lighthouse lead to this dungeon again?
I don't know. When I showed up near it, it didn't have, like, a little thing next to it. At some point off screen, I actually went back and there was just, like, a question mark there, so I don't know if this is something where, like, I'm at a part of the game. I'm obviously at a part of the game that I'm not supposed to be at yet. But, like, wow, look at this place. It's so pretty.
I mean, certainly gets the usual points of being kind of intriguing looking, but still somewhat lacking in proper context for it.
Yeah, but at this point, I'm thinking, like, wow, this really looks like I'm about to go fight Yevon or whatever, so let's get on with it. I want to see, like, what's up top here. Oh my, monsters!
Oh, excellent.
And some of those things from Vela's Mine Dungeon.
And it sounds like the epic music's in full force, despite the fact that the actual enemy content hasn't changed in any meaningful way.
Oh, I know, right? This was the point at which I was 100% sure I'd found the final boss.
Well, excellent. Let's finish the game early, then.
Yeah, let's go for it. Like I said, I want to see how far I can break this game. I was really, really pumped at this point. I was like, wow, did I just skip like 20 hours of content or whatever? Of course, LP Toss still makes short work of all these guys. This guy came out of Vela's mine dungeon, and I guess he's a little bit depressed.
Oh, it's alright, Boing Boing. We'll figure out a way to bring this to a, I want to say hopefully satisfying close, but really, can you blame me if I can't quite muster those words?
Well, no, not exactly. But at this point, I am LP tossing with all my heart, Mode Wondershot. The end is in sight. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. They really did kind of phone it in for this last area, though, because, I mean, I was kind of expecting some cool enemies or something, right?
Yeah. I want to say that the brain in the jar is a slightly different one. Have we seen him before?
I'd like to say we saw him in the Ascension's mine dungeon. Once I hit them once, it doesn't matter anymore, so...
Yeah.
Check out my stick! Yeah, I'd like to say that we saw him in the Ascension's mine dungeon, but I don't remember anything in particular about him. I don't think he was particularly fast or whatever. There were a couple enemies that were so fast that they would just go before Alex, and that's what I remember them by. But, I mean, he just sort of seemed like he had pretty average stats.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's borrow this ladder. We're doing this thing that we did in Vela's mine dungeon. I think this area is supposed to sort of be like, you know how the final dungeon in a lot of JRPGs is like the final exam area where they test to see if you remember everything from the rest of the game?
Uh-huh. That said, it does seem to have also introduced a pretty distinct problem here.
Yeah, like I said, I think I've sequence broke my way to this area. So I don't think I'm actually able to get out of it. I think at the point you're supposed to get to this area, this is like the end of the game. This is the bit where you go through Kingdom Hearts.
Well, at the same time, even in those instances, I feel as though there was supposed to be at least, if not an option to backtrack, at least some kind of indicator that backtracking might not be a possibility. Maybe?
Well, yes, there's generally a thing where it's like, are you sure you want to go do the final boss?
But of course, this game wouldn't allow that courtesy.
Well, maybe it does, but maybe I broke the action script or whatever. I'm not really sure what is going on at this point. So I'm just like trying to see how far I can push this thing, right?
Might as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to lose. I mean, we could be this close to the end of the game, Mode Wondershot, so we have everything to play for.
And why would we deprive ourselves of the opportunity?
So we can use this trick with Panda that we learned in, like, I think the first dungeon, Hotel Sammy, to get over that pit.
Yeah.
But we are missing the ladder, which is a bit concerning. So we're probably going to have to go back and fetch it. I thought I could drop off there and maybe get down to the first floor of this area, but we can't.
It would be far too easy.
What do you think the significance of that sort of triangle shape, the one that Vela makes whenever she uses Banish is? Because you saw it on the floor, right?
Yeah, and it's pretty present here as well.
Yeah, it's in the skybox.
I don't know, presumably the idea of... I want to say being unchanging.
How do you figure?
Well, triangles are essentially the simplest basic shapes you can get, right? And they're meant to create this idea of being completely static. So, I don't know, I suppose the idea that... Well, Vela, as she described earlier, felt like she was very much trapped in the circumstance that she was with regards to, you know, who she was seeing and what the situation was, and that her desire to leave her plane of reality was motivated by that need for escape.
Mm-hmm.
And so if she continues to have this sort of odd obsession with an association with triangles, it kind of continues to get at that idea that nothing's really changing, or no real meaningful advancement is possible.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I hadn't really thought of it that way. Yeah, Vela is herself very much kind of a constant. She's also the most level-headed and stable character in this.
Which, again, is something that's kind of belied by the entire experience. Okay.
Final boss cutscene? Come on. Any day now.
Well, the icing on the cake is that you appear to have soft-locked your game.
I did soft-lock my game. This is about the point where I figured out I soft-locked my game. I guess I didn't hit enough event flags or whatever.
How did... Okay, yeah, no, you sequence broke, and then the game just went, okay, that's enough of that.
Damn it, Diacorn, what did we tell you about railroad tracks?
Oh my god.
I was absolutely sure that this monster thing of all of the little monster emblems was going to be the one that gave me the super boss, right?
Right.
The one that was buried in your hometown the entire time, like some sort of weird pet cemetery thing.
Right.
Nope, it's just 4 traffic codes.
Well, maybe this'll solve Michael's side quest at least?
I was really actually hoping this was, like, somehow related to Michael's side quest. Because it would be thematically appropriate, I guess, but it's not. You don't get anything for beating it, just a little more XP. Sometimes if you get a monster thing, they give you like 50 XP. Also, we have progressed to literally beating up cops. Really getting tired of this game telling me that Alex is the good guy.
Well, I will say this, okay, why did the bottles disappear? Also, did they use the exact same cop model as was in Alex's house?
Yes, they did, actually.
Oh, that guy clearly is the best cop ever. He's cloned for the Force.
I know, right? Super impressed with that, by the way. This is one of the last monster dungeons. It's kind of over in the corner, sort of near the Statue of Liberty.
Also, this is a very different environment in which to hold this battle, which ironically is, again, just reusing an earlier asset for its own purposes.
So you remember that? You remember this was literally in, like, a room of Hotel Sammy.
I actually didn't. I just thought that they were straight up reusing the carpet asset for no real reason.
No, that's actually a background in Hotel Sammy when we're riding the magic carpets. I think I did it in, like, the 3rd episode. Anyway, believe it or not, that was actually the last Missing Girl poster. I found all of them somehow. I really wasn't even looking for them.
Diacorn, I'm very worried that this game has transformed you into some kind of YIIK monster.
Look, I'm not proud of some of the things I've done in this game.
I don't think I'm proud of the fact that I ended up having to watch this game and yet continue to try to interpret things in its benefit.
I know. I'm getting real tired of trying to play devil's advocate for this game, let me tell you. Yes, we actually completed this side quest, and you get Michael's ultimate weapon from it.
Well, isn't that just dandy?
I know. I'll have so many more reasons to use Michael now, like his wonderful skill set and his high attack power and, you know, all that other good stuff about Michael we love so much.
I guess I'll look forward to seeing what exactly that means next time.